Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. And this is a re-edit and re-upload because the original version that I published this morning was cursed with such bad audio that sticking ice picks in your ears would have been preferable to watching the video with the sound on. So sorry about that, but here it is, better late than never. Anyway, welcome back, and we join TBSH2 here, although he's known by his more common name, Dave, here in the KV2 on Pearl River, and I'm not entirely sure what this Jagdpanzer 4 thinks he's trying to achieve in elbowing a KV2 aside. The only thing that's likely to happen is somebody's going to lose their side skirts. I think we can safely assume that that guy was really not paying attention during physics class in high school. Anyway, Pearl River. I've been seeing a lot of Pearl River replays recently. Probably because the map is so new to so many of you, although it has been around for a while, it just hasn't been back in the game for a while. And I can remember having a lot of fun on Pearl River, particularly down here. We once took a platoon of 3 togs. We were hopelessly outnumbered, and as each of us realised that we were about to die, we turned our togs sideways and basically blocked off this entire street. We called it the Great Wall of Togs, because, you know, Pearl River, China, Great Wall of China, Great Wall of... never mind. Dave is, of course, in the infamous KV2 Stalin's Hammer, and the only real competition that the TOG has for the coveted title of King of Tier 6 heavy tanks. Because, of course, when you absolutely definitely have to ruin your opponent's day, the KV2's 152mm high explosive shells are the answer, except no substitutes. Dave is not top tier in this battle, by the way. It's a tier 7 battle, although there are not many tier 7s, but then again that's not really been something that ever bothered the KV2. Back in the day when there was no KV1 or KV2, there was just a KV at tier 5, and it could equip this turret and gun. It used to get tier 9 matchmaking, and it didn't care. In fact, I can remember featuring one replay in particular, where a KV2 player deliberately got himself into a failed platoon just so he could fight tier 10s, and finished top on both damage and experience, and won. The KV2 really just does not give a shit. Something that Dave here, welcome back by the way Dave, I realise it hasn't been very long, but it's good to see you back anyway. He's about to demonstrate, first against this KV1. He realises there's a KV2 here, he tries to back off, it doesn't do him any good. That wasn't a full damage shot, of course. These high explosive shells have an average damage of 900. That one went into the tracks. That was just splash damage that took half of the KV1's health off. And he's about to have an extremely bad day. Meanwhile, here comes the competition, an enemy KV2. And he knows that Dave is here, and he's having himself a bit of a Dirty Harry moment. He's thinking, did he fire 5 shots or 6? Has he reloaded by now? And Dave is asking him the question, well, given that this is a 152mm howitzer and can blow your head clean off, I guess you have to be asking yourself the question, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Yeah, he felt lucky. Didn't do him any good. Now, the M4 very wisely waited until Dave had taken the shot before rolling out and taking advantage of it. Unfortunately, he's firing high explosive, which works really, really well if you have a 152mm howitzer, not so much if you have a 75mm gun. The M4 did at least try. I mean, he put his second shot into Dave's tracks and immobilised him, and then tried to get around him, but he was, well, kind of a day late and a dollar short. But it's the thought that counts. Meanwhile, both teams are suffering casualties at a pretty intense rate. Dave's got 2 victims to his credit, and he's about to add a third. On the poor unsuspecting... oh, look away kids. Cruelty to small tanks. The Chaffee didn't even know what hit him. 1 second, full health, the next, a smoking wreck. The Scorpion over there seems to have overextended quite a bit, or possibly he hasn't, it's just that all of his teammates have died around him. He's facing an E25, a T67 and a Wolverine, and those are just the enemy tanks we know about, and he's probably not going to survive this encounter. He also seems to be receiving the very close personal attention of the enemy artillery as well. Oh, and there's a Comet over there as well. Yeah, he's all different kinds of screwed. That does of course mean that that is where the bulk of the surviving enemy tanks are. Now Dave I guess you have to ask yourself the question, do you feel lucky because you're heading straight towards them? And of course he does, he's in a KV2. KV2s make their own luck. Probably not going to be in time to save the Scorpion. Nope. Scorpion's dead. It's now 5 against 7. But those aren't bad odds. In fact, even if they were, the KV2 positively thrives on bad odds. There's a very narrow window there between those two buildings, but he's just missed the Wolverine. Wait, is he coming back? Oh, please come back. Please come back. Please come back. Wow, he did that deliberately. He saw Dave. He thought, oh, I can take a shot at a nearly full health KV2, and deliberately rolled out sideways on into the one spot where Dave could hit him, where he knew Dave was waiting to shoot at him, and he thought that was going to be a good idea. Newsflash, it kind of wasn't. And now 2/3 of both teams are dead. It's 5 against 5, and Dave's team is pretty much spread out all across the map. Now Dave is faced with something of a choice, because up ahead to the left, around the corner of that rock, is where the Comet, the E-25, and the T-67 went. The Wolverine went down there as well, of course, but we no longer have to worry about him. And maybe, just maybe, he can get shots at one or more of them, as his team continues to hemorrhage players. Taking a quick look back at the capsule. Oh, there's the E-25. Can't get the gun round quite in time. Wait, is he coming back? No, he's not coming back. Ah, right. Dave thinks for a second of pursuing the enemy tanks, but there's no way he's going to catch an E-25, a Comet, or a T-67 in the KV-2. Also, artillery just took a shot at him, so he was clearly spotted, and Dave doesn't have the sixth sense, so he's not going to know that he's been spotted until people start shooting at him. So why make things difficult for yourself? You're never going to catch those enemy tanks anyway. I mean, the E-25 is already all the way over there. Spotted, I think, by the Churchill. Dave now only has 2 surviving teammates, an AMX ELC and that Churchill, who's getting shot at, presumably, not by the E-25 who spotted him, but by the Comet and T-67 who were over there. The AMX ELC has just died. For some bizarre reason, the Churchill appears to have thought that it was a good idea to leave the safety of the buildings he was sheltering behind and move out into the open paddy field, where he can be shot at by the T-67, the E-25 and the Comet. And the Comet has just killed him, which means that Dave is now alone against 5 enemy tanks. This is no problem, comrades. KV2 has this, as long as the enemy are dumb enough to come at him one at a time, because that's his big advantage, that big 152mm knockout punch. The enemy team, of course, have speed, manoeuvrability, and rapid-firing guns, so if they all come at him at the same time, he's pretty screwed. He backs up against the rock, so that he can't be surprised from the rear, points his gun in the direction of where he's hoping the T-67, E-25 and Comet are going to appear. And he waits. And his patience is rewarded by an E-25 who sees him, stops, and takes a direct hit from a 152mm shell. Knowing that he's been spotted and conscious of the fact that the rock that he was hiding behind wouldn't save him from artillery, he relocates. And he's in the process of settling in when he and the Comet proximity detect each other by virtue of suddenly being within 15 metres of each other. I have to say the Comet is being a real gentleman about this, not using his speed and manoeuvrability to his advantage, giving Dave all the time in the world to get turned around, aimed at him, missing his shot at Dave from a range of 15 metres and becoming Dave's 6th victim. That was incredibly sporting of the Comet, something that you don't see too often in World of Tanks. And oh, there's the IKV. I believe did he just take a shot? No, not yet. Dave's trying. There it is. Dave baited him into taking the shot, but he's not quite quick enough to do the same thing to the IKV. And that is when Dave realises that the T-67 is behind him. Once again, Dave really could be in trouble here, because if both the IKV and the T-67 attack him at the same time, they could kill him. One of them will almost certainly die, but the other could kill him. So naturally, they don't both attack him at the same time, and the T-67, another great sportsman, refuses to use his speed and manoeuvrability to his advantage, and instead just kind of slowly reverses away in front of Dave's gun. Now where's the IKV? Here he comes. Well, he's got the speed, and Dave's struggling to keep the gun pointed at him as he reloads, but he doesn't quite have the manoeuvrability. I mean, who put that mountain there? These IKVs are so difficult to steer. And that is the Radley Walters medal. Sadly, only one enemy tank left, so no chance of a Pools medal today. Actually, speaking of the one enemy tank that's left, what has the artillery been doing? Because we haven't heard anything from him since Dave still had two teammates left alive. What can the artillery possibly have to do that's better than shooting at Dave's tank? Inquiring minds want to know, because he had his chance to help his teammates and now he's completely blown it. You see, the good thing about this cap circle is it's artillery safe. There's a rocky overhang here that you can just sit under, and artillery cannot hit you unless they drive up to you and try to shotgun you at point blank range. Which means that right now, that enemy griller has to choose between two extremely unpleasant choices. And by the sound of that shell impact, it looks like he's, at least at first, going to go for option number one. Stay safe, fail to hit Dave, fail to reset the capture progress, and lose the match. The other option, of course, is fairly suicidal, and he probably knows it. Get close, attempt to shotgun Dave, and pray for an ammo rack detonation. Because if he does go for option number two, one shot is all he's ever going to get. The continuing sound of high explosive detonations nowhere near Dave appears to indicate that the griller, at least for the moment, is content to explore option number one. I mean, there's still 3.5 minutes of the game left. He has some time, except in 2 minutes Dave is going to have won by capping. And option number one is destined to fail. But by the sound of things, the griller is determined to at least try to make it work. You know what they say, God loves a trier. Actually, hang on a minute. It's been a while since we heard any shell input. No, wait, there's another one. 52% capture progress. The griller, if he's going to do anything, he's got 1.5 minutes in which to do it. So what's he going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, place your bets now. Is he going to continue to not hit Dave with his high explosive shells, or is he going to pull on his man pants, take his brave pills, close in, and pray for the ammo rack? Now, the griller is a fairly rapid firing artillery. I mean, it's no fair, but it's got a pretty quick reload for artillery. And if he was continuing to go with option number one, we should have heard an impact by now. Is he up to something? I certainly hope so, if for no other reason than it will provide a much more amusing ending. Oh, there he is. Here he comes. Nearly kills himself in the process. Oh well. Hey, at least he tried. We have to give him credit for that much. And he did achieve one thing, even if it wasn't killing Dave. He did deny Dave the Invader medal, because getting himself spread over as wide an area as possible by a 152mm high explosive shell meant that the game ended when Dave only had 76 capture points, 4 short of the 80 that's required to earn the Invader medal. So well done to the griller for that, at least. Of course, Dave did get the Ace Tanker Kolobanov's medal, Radley Walters, Top Gun and High Caliber, so he's probably not too upset. 9 kills, 3,500 damage. Well done, Dave. It's nice to see you back so soon, and we hope to see more of you in the future. I'm sure somehow that we will. Now, I hope you've enjoyed that, because I have to go and take delivery of and set up my new PC. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be no more Jingles moments, and we'll be back somewhat earlier tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.